Hi, everyone. Sorry about the abrupt stop in 25. I wanted to get further in that, so I'll jump right in 26. Now, you guys are so smart, and as I'm seeing from the feedback, um, you know, like it's Kimberly says, we all have our little desks out here trying to figure out what is going on because what stops us from doing what Katie Joy does? What stops anybody from doing the right thing? What stops somebody from knowing you can do this, but choosing not to? What makes somebody choose good or bad? It's the quintessential, you know, going back to the beginning of time, you know, truth versus a lie. And, you know, why aren't we saying the things that she does? Because we're all afraid of getting sued. But we live in America. We have freedom of speech. No, 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 no. Again, freedom of speech is one thing. Yeah, you can say it. But you may have to pay for what you did. If your mouth or your writing causes somebody else pain, stress, the loss of a job, the loss of their reputation, you can be held responsible for that. So, sure, you can, but do you? Should you? Depends. How much is it worth to you? If there was something that you truly believed in, and there was this one thing and you just believed so much that you didn't care, that if you got taken to court, you'd be able to say, this is what I said because I believe in it. That's one thing. And we would not be here talking about this if it was that one thing. But it is continued issues. And I guess that, when the mistake that I made in posting the wrong DUI, the intent of my posting that was because people are saying, well, what does it matter? It was 13 to 15 years ago. I get it. My point in saying that, it was just to give the Duggars and the Bates and the 7M, and I want to say Chris Chrisley, but I'll say Michael Todd Chrisley for y'all, and Tati and everybody. I just want to give them a win. That, you know what? When somebody's sitting up there judging you, the best damn not have a DUI on their record. Because the way that she pontificates and posts, she comes from a point of she is better than, that she knows more than, that she's the best mother, that she's the all-knowing mother, that she knows more than anybody. And I don't know that she is. I don't know that she's the all-mother. And while we're talking about things, you guys are so smart, and you guys, are keen to see the parallels between Amber Heard, or like I like to call her Amber Turd, for her little stunt and poop in the bed, so Johnny'd find the turd, but oh, it was the dog. Yeah, right. And she had her article posted where she was speaking about what she said happened to her. Now, you have to be very careful because you don't want to doubt a domestic violence victim's testimony. But what if the accusations and allegations are not true? What if they are not proven? This is what we're talking about right now. As we're getting through this, and we can see as we crack to the center of this, Katie Joy has gotten a lot of this from old lawsuits, old restraining orders, old court filings on other people. So essentially, she's taking accusations that people can make when they're mad or in a relationship. I mean, how would any of us fare if our exes or ex-spouses, or anything, if what they said about us was then said to be true? There are allegations, there are accusations, and then there is proof of whether or not those things occurred. So, where Amber Turd is in trouble, So is Katie Joy. Could she have been protected if, when she wrote that Robert Shin has been accused of this? Maybe. And that's what a journalist would do. A journalist would look at both sides, just like, okay, so another case in our state is the sad case of Madeline Kingsbury. She was allegedly killed by her domestic partner, Adam Taylor Fravel. Okay, he is charged with second-degree murder and particular cruelty for the way in which he disposed of her body. Okay, when I looked up his name and I wanted to find out more about the entire case, I ran her name and his name at the courthouse where I got my things that are public documents. And when I talked about the story of Madeline Kingsbury and I went through and I said, this is her criminal past. She has, a driving infraction, and this is his. He has something similar to show that, okay, here's the background of both of them. And then this is what happened. So this one has this one has this. That's what a journalist would do. And I'm not saying I'm a journalist or anything like that. I'm just saying that I believe that it's fair to see both sides. And what I would love to do in this is to continue to go each step with all of you and look at every single thing that then she's been accused of so that we know. Because it's time that the truth and the facts come out. Now, an LLC, limited liability corporation, as I've shown, okay, so this is Katie Joyce, and she is in good standing. Okay, she has, so limited liability company, domestic. So she has a domestic company listed right there. We know that, it's basically saying that she's got, I can't remember the way that she listed it. I'm not going to say it right now. But let's say what an LLC is by definition in our Barron's Legal Guide, our law dictionary. Go over here and we say, okay, so because you don't see that there's an actual, limine, actual limine. I just looked at the word limine, emotion in limine. Well, we don't see that there's like anything like, say, an LLC to make this like really simple here. So let's just say, okay, so we got limited liability. By the letter of the law, it says the limitation placed on the amount an investor of a corporation can lose resulting from a lawsuit against the corporation or other loss suffered by the corporation. The liability for losses that is limited to the amount an investor or shareholder invests in the corporation unless that amount is determined by a court to have been fraudulently insufficient. The corporation itself also enjoys limited liability inasmuch as the corporation's obligations are always limited to its assets, unless, with regard to particular transactions, personal responsibility is assumed by an officer or shareholder of the corporation. Okay, well, what does that mean for her? Well, as hers is supposed to be in the course of business. So if she is just being a YouTube creator, a social media creator, then in the course of her business, let's see, what would be in the LLC? In the course of her business, what could happen that could go against there? Let's see. I can't think of a good example. I suck. Shame. Are you guys yelling out examples at me? It's like, you think of the Home Depot. You're walking in the Home Depot. And you slip and fall. The insurance of Home Depot is going to cover your injuries because they have a business, so their business is protected, and the business itself has insurance. So it wouldn't be that you would go to the owner of Home Depot and file a lawsuit for your injuries to him. His business is in there. So this happens in the business. I mean, there could be a million different questions on what is and is not covered. I mean, are there instances in which that would not? I mean, what if an employee went and purposely spilled oil all over and somebody fell? Is that still covered by the insurance of Home Depot? Or then does it go by the employee who did something nefariously? I don't know. There's so many things that our new world has to answer that I don't know the answers to. There's a higher profile case right now where somebody in Minnesota here had a pew and pew-pewed all over in the Walmart. It sounds like I'm saying that he farted all over the Walmart. I just can't say that other word, you know what I mean? So it was a big old, I don't know what words I can say and not say. But just imagine that in the Walmart here. And the police were out and it was a big old, everybody had their pew-pews out. And so the Minnesota judge puts him on bail, lets him out. So then he goes to Utah, gets pulled over, steals the cop's car. Pew-pews some more. Carjacks another car because the car thinks that an officer is in trouble. Wrecked on the side of the road. And it's him. It's like he got caught in Utah. It's like, why did you let him out in Minnesota? Well, I mean, those are big questions. And then I'm like thinking, does everybody who was in that Walmart who was aimed at, traumatized, do all of them have a cause of action against Walmart? Do the people in the parking lot? Do the people now in Utah have a cause of action against the state of Minnesota for letting them out? And, just going, oh gosh, all of these things from one person's actions. One person can cause so much destruction. Literally, figuratively. Whether it's money, jobs, loss of life, of course. But our courts do not have the laws in place for what we're dealing with today's crazy world. And this is a huge case of it. And I think that, like I've said from the beginning, I believe that we could have a very pivotal case here that has I think it has the potential to be a huge landmark case. I think that's what Katie Joy is going for because of the money that she has, she's becoming more attractive. The more money you have, the more attractive you can be. I mean, I could be a hell of a lot more attractive if I had a little money right now. I'm telling you. Just let's do an experiment and let's see. Right now I look like the living dead. You know how it is when you don't have money and you just kind of, and then when you have money, you're looking all shiny and your hair's all done and I don't know. You know what I mean? So she's got this money. So she's doing the Botox. You have to admit that from her looking like Peppermint Patty, she's now looking a little bit more attractive. Not saying she's attractive, but from where she started as Peppermint Patty, she's now kind of looking like a woman. Maybe instead of a girl, or I better shut up on that. But I think it's because she thinks she's going to be on TV. You know how Jodi Arias was all over the TV? This is going to be Katie Joy all over the TV. I think her lawyer's setting her up for that. I think after reading some of the things that Graham Martin has put in here and the way that he has puffed up, I think that a couple of times he's looked in here and he's like, no, we're taking this all the way. We'll take it to the Supreme Court. You are protected by this and that. And she's like, that's right. And I am going to have, who would play her in the TV movie? Oh, I better shut up. But then I think that she'll do something else. And then I think, I'm just imagining, just go along with my story here. I think her attorney probably reams her a new one. Is like, I'm not even going to go. I'm not going to deal with you one more day. Deal with Jennifer because I can't deal with you. Because that's what it seems like it happens. And then she's like, but I got Botox because you believed in me. And we were going to go all the way here. And he's like, nope. I told you to stop it. Because any lawyer would be telling their client to button it. Stop it. We got to deal with the damage that you did. But I think that she thinks that nothing's going to happen because she's protected because of her LLC. But the rest of us are going, your LLC is not going to protect that. If you were doing something and something unintended resulted. But I don't even know. You got me. Like I said, I didn't finish law school, but I don't even think that an accomplished lawyer could. Well, as we're seeing, accomplished lawyers that have been in the business 20 years can't really figure out what's going on because her attorneys were not caught up as stated. So, without further ado, we are going to go right into part 26 because it is 1:15 in the morning. And before one of my kids needs me, I'm going to hurry up here because I raise zombies just like myself. They don't sleep through the night, I'm telling you. And so here we are. We were at defendants' responses to plaintiffs' requests to produce documents. And so we were at number 9. So with respect to any document request that indicates that defendants made certain statements on social media, defendants object insofar as the post speaks for themselves. What the? Come on. This is why they're taking her back to court on this motion. This is where we have the cog in the wheel. This is where you're going, what the? No, that's not what you're supposed to do on a deposition. Okay, in the lawsuits that I've been well, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to say. Okay, I'm going to say that if my client was in this position and an interrogatory comes out, you have interrogatories and depositions, it comes out and there's all these questions. It is like a traffic light. It is yes, no, maybe, but you have to answer it. You don't say this kind of stuff. This is a word salad in a salad bar. Vagueness and ambiguity are words that they just used, and that pretty much describes what they've got going on here. With respect to any document request that is an apparent paraphrase or quote by defendant, defendants object to the extent that no citation was provided by plaintiffs. Okay. What? Okay, talking about citations. That's an interesting point here, because true journalists do cite their sources, okay? When you're writing papers upon papers upon papers in your bachelor's degree, master's, well, I didn't finish my master's in forensic psychology, but for the part that I was in it, papers upon papers upon papers. And all you're doing is basically you're formatting your papers so that your format is correct. I mean, that's 90% of your paper. You've got to format it correctly to APA format. And then you have to cite your sources. So you are citing something, okay? And for those of you who don't know what I'm saying, see, they're saying the word citation. So citation. Citing is citing or cite. So citing your sources, or did you cite, okay? So that's where you would have, you would say something, and in a scholarly paper, you would then have a footnote down below where your citations are, or at the end page where you cite your sources. So let's say that we're saying that she's a credible journalist, which the thing she's trying to do would be what somebody could say a journalist would do, but a journalist would say, in Rolling Stones magazine, blah, 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 blah. And then they would, at the end of it, or they would say, Rolling Stones, episode, or edition this, page this, blah, blah, blah. Okay? To what I have seen, I don't know that I've ever seen her cite a source or cite one correctly. I don't know how much higher education, if any, she had or has. And before somebody jumps down my throat, I know things about her that I can guarantee you don't. You, and you. You guys can turn around and say, you know things about her that you can guarantee I don't know. That's correct. I don't want to know. I'm not a frickin' stalker. And when I started this, it was, the message was very clear and stated that ask before you post. You don't know what you're talking about, you come to us. You don't post before asking. And again, I stand alone. I don't have mods. I am my own. I am a person, and I am doing this work. And the flip side of that is if I went through every single video that ever is, so I can ask before I post to make sure that it's okay with everybody else because they think they know something more than me, I'd be accused of stealing their material. I want to be original and authentic as a person coming in looking at this. I've stated that I have an education that might prepare me a little bit more for some things. And that's all of us. So if those of us who can work together nicely come together with our collective knowledge and say, oh, you know what, I saw this happen here, or that's not going to happen because of this, etc., etc. That's what we do. So while I'm saying this, I don't want to have a message. Oh, now I'm going to say it. Be like, she cited her sources right here. Shame on you. You don't know. You ask. Can't you hear it now? I can hear it. Shame, 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 shame. I was just, like I said, going through it, thinking to myself, if she had cited her sources, if she cited her sources regularly, like if at the bottom of a post it would say, from this lawsuit. She doesn't want to do that because she doesn't want you to go and find out where she got this because she thinks you're going to compete. And she doesn't want that. And she's very possessive of the information. She wants you to know what she wants you to know. She doesn't want you to know the whole story and that there was all of this. And some of her haters and some of her supporters are also that myopic and possessive of their material. And I'm really trying to say that that doesn't get anybody anywhere. We can learn. So I hope that you all understand now that responsible journalists cite their sources, or talented journalists work that into their story. They say where they have this, or that the background to here, or if somebody wanted to look further, they can do this. When you're doing a scholarly article, you of course do that so that your professor can go and see where you got that, how you got that, and if indeed you interpreted it correctly to make that example go. Or if they want to come in and teach on that, or somebody else wants to come along, take your information and build upon it, they can. That's how it's done. So, I think that her lack of education shows in the way that she writes. I really do. Because one could argue that she doesn't know, but then again, she says that she worked as a, I'm not going to say it. Anyway, with respect to any request that asks defendants to provide a factual basis for statements made by defendants, defendants stand by their reporting and note that reporting on matters pertaining to plaintiffs was continuing over the course of time and cumulative. As a result, certain statements which were not individually sourced may have been sourced in prior published statements. Okay, so may have been, well, where are they? You've got to show this. If she can, then it's problematic. Defendants object to any document request as to any matter pertaining to defendants' opinions about plaintiffs. What? Hogwash. Hogwash. Defendants object to any document request as to any matter pertaining to defendants' opinions about plaintiffs. What? Are you freaking kidding me? Get my Jack tea over here. Oh, hello. Okay. Who can get away with this? Is she going to get away with this? My attorney wouldn't let me behave like this. I'm telling you. And I was in the right. Ooh, that's good. I've got my Yogi Egyptian licorice tea. And one of you told me that there's Egyptian or licorice mint from Yogi. I've got to get that. Okay, I can't believe that this is being said. I can't believe this. The whole tone of this is cocky. The judge is not going to be happy. This is cocky. Defendants object to any document requests seeking information about statements pertaining to individuals or entities that are not parties hereto. Okay, I understand what they're saying, and they may get that one. Because they referenced, her parents, I think, is what they did. Subject to these generation objections, and subject to those objections noted elsewhere herein, defendants respond as follows. Okay, that should be general instead of generation, don't you think? Where it says subject to these generation objections. What? Okay. What in the generation objections? Got me there. Responses to plaintiff's document requests. Request number 1. Produce copies of any and all documents in your possession, custody, or control related to any claims and defenses alleged in the litigation between the parties. Response. Are you ready, guys? It's been a while, but you ready? Here we go. Objection! This document request is impermissibly vague and calls for materials protected by the attorney-client privilege and the journalist's privilege outlined in Minnesota Statute 595-2021-5. Cervantes versus Time, blah, 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 back in 1972. That was a damn good year. Without waiving these objections, please see documents produced pursuant to the other requests made by plaintiffs once plaintiffs have clarified their discovery requests. Oh, snap. Request number 2, produce any and all documents referenced in responding to your answers to the plaintiff's first set of interrogatories. Response, where specific reference was made to a particular document, defendants linked 2 digital copies within her posts. Additionally, defendants point to materials already in plaintiff's possession in connection with the following court matters. Okay, so this is where she's talking about where she got this again, okay? So she's talking about Chung v. Shin, Orange County file number, blah, 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 supplementals, blah, 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 Lee versus Alpha Plus Realty, Labor and Communication, RCP Financial Incorporated versus Lay, Los Angeles County File versus blah, 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 blah. Discovery is ongoing, and this response will be supplemented as information becomes known and available. Okay, so this is where she gets her little Pacer account and goes. And like I say, we've got to decide, is Pacer public information? Pacer is supposed to be public information, and Pacer itself had the lawsuit within it saying that information is supposed to be available. It shouldn't cost people. It shouldn't be this inaccessible. It shouldn't be behind a paywall. People who are paying quite a bit of money got a settlement out of Pacer for that, but I didn't know about Pacer until I started law school, and then, well, I guess in my undergraduate, in the end, we got access to LexisNexis and Pacer and stuff with our school stuff. But that wasn't anything I would have known about as a layperson. Request number 3, produce any and all documents referenced in responding to your answers to plaintiff's request for admissions. Look at this response. None. Produce any and all documents. None. Produce any and all social media posts you have made regarding 7M Films Incorporated and its affiliates from January 2020 to the present. Get this. Defendants do not know what affiliates means with respect to this request. Most of defendants' social media accounts are readily available online. Defendants have asked plaintiffs to provide copies of plaintiffs' post already in its possession. Once plaintiffs provide this discovery, defendants will supplement with their response. No. No and no. No. This is where we have Dirty Delete Katie. And this is where her attorney tried to be the sweet little confused little lady up there and go, but, they have some of these things, and, just because of time and stuff, they're just not there anymore. Well, you know what? These things have already caused loss of income and loss of jobs, etc., etc., so they've done their damage. 7M has those, okay? 7M has them, and they've already done their work, and she needs to come up and show what she has done and take accountability for it. I know that in the hate fest, the people say that, the ones who don't understand, say that I'm going to be next, that KJ is going to sue me for defamation. It was around the DUI post. Problem is that she has a DUI. So I'm not going to get sued. Me sharing what I thought was hers was not hers, but that does not take away from the fact that she has one. So there is not going to be a problem, and she's not going to be applying for a job or anything. I did not cause harm to her reputation. Okay. I did not cause her harm by doing so. I apologized, of course, that it was the wrong one. So what I had stated was incorrect where she may have done her community service. But so I have not done anything that would have enough merit for Katie Joy to come and sue me. But that's the problem here, is that other people are not doing a good enough job of getting the information out about what is and is not a legal action here and how this is coming about. Having people naive enough to think that now I'm going to be sued by Katie Joy is not logical. It shows that people do not understand how much damage Katie Joy has truly done. Have I caused Katie Joy to lose projected $400 million? Have I caused her to lose $40? No. People are generally confused. I guess that's all I'd have to say, is they're confused, because I am not doing anything wrong here. If anything on my channel were to be taken to court, I would be able to say, hey, this is why I came to this conclusion. This is why I said it. This is how I said it. And this is what I mean. And this is how I feel. And this was my intention in doing so. And that's for the Watts. That's for anything. I have to be confident in doing that. And I am. With that being said, defendants do not know what affiliates mean. Okay. Produce any and all. Produce any and all social media posts you have made regarding Melanie Wilking and or her affiliates. Okay, this is where they are. And it says objection relevance insofar as it requests information related to a non-party. Okay, so that was already stated over here. And I see they'll get this one. That's fine. Let's see. Produce any and all social media posts you made regarding Miranda Derrick and her affiliates from January 20th to the present. Okay, we have that, of course. It says defendants do not know what affiliates means with respect to this request. So what are they going to do? Play the, I don't know what that big word is? Come on. And it says most of defendants' social media accounts are readily available online. Yeah, except for what she deletes. Defendants have already asked plaintiffs to provide copies of plaintiffs' posts already in his possession. Once plaintiffs provide... So what do? Copy and paste this shit? Hell. Okay, so then... Produce any and all for James Derrick. And what does she say? Same thing. Don't know what affiliates means, and it's copy and pasted to the next. Produce any and all drafts of social media posts you have made regarding 7M films. Here we go. Ready? Objection relevance. They're going to get that. That I agree. That's what's the relevance? That would be like essentially, your own personal journaling, your own notes, that I could see them. I don't know why they would have asked that. Produce any and all correspondence in which defendants discuss 7M. This is good. As it says, to produce any and all correspondence in which defendants discuss 7M Films Incorporated and its affiliates with third parties. And it says, objection. This document request calls for materials protected by the attorney-client privilege. No, it doesn't. And then, once again, defendants don't know what affiliates mean with respect to this request. Without raising any objections, discovery is ongoing. And, okay, this is discovery. This is your time to do this. Defendants will produce non-privileged material once it has all been identified. That's what you're supposed to be doing right now. This is the time. Wow. Wow. Same thing, produce any and all correspondence, which defendants discussed Robert Shin or his affiliates with third parties from January 2020 to present. Ready? Objection. This document request calls for materials protected by the attorney-client, okay, and it says that don't know what affiliates means, and then we'll produce once it's been identified. This is why they have a problem with this. This is ridiculous. And then same question, it says, when you discussed Melanie, or who you discussed Melanie Wilking with and her affiliates. And of course, they're going to lose this one because Melanie Wilking is not on that. So that I do understand why that would be struck. And then it says, I wonder why Melanie Wilking was not on this. That's interesting. Because why would they ask about it? I wouldn't have done that. But. And then it says, produce any and all correspondence defendants have had with Melanie Wilking, but it says they're gonna say the same thing because she's not listed in this. She's not a party to this lawsuit. So, will her information come out? Will conversations that have been had with her have to come out? Who knows? The attorney knows. Under attorney-client privilege, they say. And that will be interesting because she will most likely be called as a witness then. If she's not a party, she's not named, but there may be information that would be relevant, then maybe she would be called as a witness, I would assume. And then it says here, produce any and all correspondence in which defendant discussed Miranda Derrick and or her affiliates. Okay, there we go. That's problematic because she reached out to Miranda Derrick's family, especially during that funeral time. And Miranda Derrick's parents apparently told her, no, thank you. We don't want your help. We don't want to participate. This is a family member and this is a family issue. This is not something we want discussed in social media. We would like it to be private. Thank you for respecting our privacy. Now go away. That's what happened. We'll have to see because it will. She was supposed to produce it now, but that will come out. Let's see here. Who else will be brought up to the witness stand? Who do we think? I think definitely Melanie Wilking. And let's see here. And then same for correspondence with James Derrick and or his affiliates. And they do the same thing. Objection. Don't know what affiliates means, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Look at this. Produce any and all tax documents for Catherine Mansky Paulson from January 2020 to present. Objection. Relevance. The relevance is that you're right here in a lawsuit and this is what you need to produce. That's the relevance. That's why there's a motion on a motion having to stop here because everything is stopped because Katie Joy's side is not cooperating properly. They're the ones in trouble, not 7M. 7M, for all we know, has done their work, but it is protected so that it doesn't become Katie Joy content. Now, it says produce any and all tax documents for Without a Crystal Ball, LLC, from January 2020 to present. Ready? Objection. Relevance. And then produce any and all contracts you have entered in with third parties regarding 7M Films Incorporated, Robert Shin, Miranda Derrick, James Derrick, and the Shekinah Church. Contracts. Says objection relevance. Additionally, this request calls for materials that are subject to a confidentiality provision that prevents disclosure. What do we have here, my friends? What kind of a contract would she enter into? And what is already in a confidentiality? Interesting. What is already protected? What is that? Produce any and all contracts you have entered into with third parties regarding 7M Films, Robert Shin, Miranda Derrick, James Derrick, and the Shekinah Church. Response. Objection. Relevance. Additionally, this request calls for materials that are subject to a confidentiality provision that prevents disclosure. Ooh. Huh. Here we go. Produce any and all contracts you currently have with any production companies. Objection. This request is overly broad and seeks materials that are not relevant to any claim or defense. Additionally, this request calls for materials that are subject to a confidentiality provision that prevents disclosure. So we've got two little things that we might be sniffing out here that are interesting. And then, of course, we have this one that we know about, because it says produce any and all communications regarding the production of an HBO documentary regarding plaintiffs. And it says objection, this document, blah, blah, blah. Now we know how that blew up in her face. Maybe caused the boil. That's what happened. Now, looking at how bad Fox News, that affiliate in Utah, got the backlash from using Katie Joy as a source and made the mistake of saying that she was somebody who covers child abuse cases, etc., allegedly. Look at what would have happened if HBO would have really used her. Or anybody who uses her, unless they are doing a documentary specific to her and her fuck shit. And then we go again. Produce any and all communications regarding the production of a Netflix documentary regarding plaintiffs. Objection, okay? And then that says it's confidentiality. So we have two that we don't know of, two that we do know of in confidentialities, okay? Now, do the two that we don't know of, are they what we basically know for HBO and Netflix, and are they all one and the same? Could be. Could very well be. And then it goes in here and it says produce any and all contracts regarding the production of a Netflix documentary regarding the plaintiff. So it's repetitive, where we have, it says producing in all communications regarding the production, and then any contract. So it's very repetitive here, where it goes give the communication. So like when you're getting ready to comment in a documentary or be a part of a documentary, they essentially vet who is going to be in it. So the producers will send you an email, or they'll reach out by phone or whatnot, and they'll say, hey, we're looking at this topic, we would like to see how you feel about this, and would you be willing to do this? Would you be willing to? And then you say, oh, okay. And then it goes to a phone interview or whatnot. Same with when a journalist covers you, and you talk back and forth a little bit. It goes back and forth, and then they go into probably all of the people that they have together to see how everything's going to work together, and then they start with the contracts. So I don't know how far she got into that process or not. But you can see how there would have been those communications, because that would be interesting, because especially for her, where she would really want to be part of a documentary in there, she would be essentially auditioning. So she would be selling herself as, oh yes, I know this and I'm an expert in this. So they would want to see this, because this could be very valuable information to see how and why she purports to be a subject matter expert in all of these topics, people, etc. And then it just says objection relevance. Additionally, this calls for a request for materials that are subject to a confidentiality provision that prevents disclosure. And then this one is signed by Jennifer Moore, because in my imaginary story, I believe that Graham Martin throws up his hands and says, "No, I'm not going to help you anymore." And then Jennifer Moore probably gets mad in my imaginary story and says, "I'm not going to do this anymore. Graham, you get back here." He's like, "I'll deal with her," in my imaginary story. But, it's just imaginary. Who knows what really goes on? So, thank you for listening to part 26. I adore all of you, love all of the comments. You guys are so great. I have always had, for the past year and a half, this amazing channel that has been so welcoming and so interesting to get to know everybody and talk back and forth within the comments when I can get around to them, and through emails when I get time. And I adore and appreciate all of you. And I'm sorry that there's been some hiccups along the way with the haters, but that comes with this, and just gotta muddle through. So thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe. And you can even become a member if you wanted to. I have a little bit more personal information there. A little bit more about me. I think I'm at, what am I at? $13, $14, $15 for my membership. It's not that much. Or you can even buy me coffee through my Cash App. Anyway, thank you for your time in listening, and I hope that you are enjoying your coffee, tea, or anything with me. And now you're going to go out and enjoy your day knowing a little bit more about a little bit more. Thanks again. Bye-bye.